Before this review of Day 1 Garry's Incident begins, there are a few things that need to be said. Don't buy this game. Don't buy this game. Do not buy this game.
Great.
Looking at the Steam page for Day 1 Garry's Incident, it doesn't look too bad. The words survival and crafting are pasted everywhere. Both of these things have been exhausted in the indie game market recently, but they still hold appeal. The screenshots of the game are pretty decent. There's some lush jungle environments, robot spiders, and what looks like an expansive world to explore. There's a real Indiana Jones vibe to the whole thing, which is cool. I mean, it's obviously a budget title, but it still gives the impression of a fun, interesting survival game. Surely it can't be that bad, right?
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Day 1 Garry's Incident is one of the worst games I've ever had the displeasure of playing. It's an ugly, frustrating, unplayable mess of a game, and I hope everyone involved is embarrassed to have had any part in its creation. Seriously, I could pick any aspect of the game at random, and it is guaranteed to be terrible. The combat in this game is awful. Almost everything can be killed using the knife, by spamming the left mouse button, which creates a stun lock situation. Of course, this same tactic will be frequently used on you, making combat hugely frustrating. There are also ranged weapons, and all of them are clunky, unsatisfying, and unreliable. They'll frequently miss, even at point-blank range, there's little to no recoil, and... Wait. Did that rock just bleed? The rock bleeds. Everything you shoot bleeds. This is one of the laziest things I've ever seen in a game. If there's one thing this game is consistent in, it's the amount of bugs you'll find in every area of the game. I came across dodgy animations, missing floor textures, game-breaking clipping, nonsensical menu settings, and whatever this is. I really don't see how anyone could justify releasing such an unfinished, buggy product. I can only assume that devs Wild Game Studios got halfway through development before realising they didn't have the time, money, or staff to bring a fairly ambitious idea to fruition. Of course, this is no excuse, and I can't help but find their decision to release the game in its current state as immoral and irresponsible. This isn't an early access game, or something in beta or alpha. Garry's Incident is being advertised as a complete, finished game, sold on Steam for £14.99. It's a high price, as far as indie titles go, and presumably they wanted to shift as many copies as possible, for a ridiculously inflated price before word got around about their steaming turd. This could well be this generation's Superman 64, if less memorable. And there's more. Day 1 Garry's Incident is a game in which you'll die. A lot. And I don't mean like Dark Souls or Super Meat Boy, in which most deaths are because of a player mistake. Almost every death feels unfair. You'll die from falling a meter, you'll die from failing the long boring QuickTime events, you'll die from having a monkey throw its shit at you, and sometimes you'll die for seemingly no reason at all. It's a hard game for all the wrong reasons, to the extent that I found it almost impossible to progress past the second area of the game. Beyond the bad combat, there are also puzzles. Each one seems specifically designed to require as little brainpower and player interaction as possible. They're the video game equivalent to those baby toys where you need to put the right shape through the right hole, except with only one shape and one hole. Take this one for example. At the top of the temple, there is a door that needs opening by reflecting light off a series of mirrors. However, I quickly realised that each mirror had only two possible positions, and the entire puzzle involved just turning every mirror in the opposite direction. Here's another one, in which there are 3 buttons that need pressing, in order to summon a Cowboy vs Aliens style arm thing. Apparently getting hold of a ridiculously powerful energy weapon is a simple case of pushing 3 buttons from left to right. There's generally no real context or logic to the puzzles, or what they accomplish. I didn't really see the point in any of them being in the game, other than for the sake of having puzzles.
Oh yeah, now we're talking.
Day 1 Garry's Incident markets itself as a survival game. There is a crafting system, but it's clumsily implemented. Recipes are scrawled on walls at regular intervals, and there's never a real sense of discovery. There's also usually a dull QuickTime event involved in making each item. The health meter in this game is inaccurate. You can't depend on it telling you the truth. I've died countless times while the bar is still at over 50%, clearly visible as such on the death screen. The amount of damage you take from the same source seems to vary at random. I can't think of any other game that fails at implementing a health meter. It amazes me that something so simple, yet very important, can be messed up like this. When you can't rely on your health meter being accurate in a game centered around survival, there's something fundamentally very wrong. I could probably go into further detail about how the protagonist is annoying and badly voice acted, how the story is non-existent, and how the quests are often given no context. It'd be redundant though, like using Hitler not doing his share of the washing up as an example of him being a bad man. Because this game has shown nothing to impress me, given nothing of value, and does nothing right, I can only give it nothing. Day 1 Garry's Incident might have once started out with good intentions. Unfortunately, it's manifested into something very nasty, betraying the trust of paying customers by taking their money and giving them a game that any developer or publisher should be ashamed of. To be honest, I'm just happy I never have to play this game again.